And the company's CFO, Will Heyburn. Thank you so much for being with us. We just took a look at your earnings, right? We've had some great numbers out of the company. In fact, I saw fourth quarter revenue growth, 144% year over year. How about short distances, which is what the people I know do most, up 261% year over year. Things are going in the right direction, it seems, right?
Yes, thanks for having me on, Nicole.
In the world of being healthy, and you have hospital jet charters for med mobility, organ transport, and jet revenues that increase there. I think you're definitely in the right place at the right time as people maybe, right, you tell me, more worried about COVID and Omicron and such, and maybe looking to fly a little more privately.
Yes, so the MediMobility division
moment, right? It really is to say, hey, we have this business that's doing very well. Let's help in this way. It feels like that moment, Trask Radio, you know, when Working Girl, when she puts it together and you see an area where it's much needed and you see the growth, and that will continue to happen. You also have acquired Helijet, so that you mentioned the helicopters as being part of it as well. I also know that you're trying to get more and more space for airports and places to operate. So tell us a little bit about some of the growth plans going forward.
Yeah, look, we've been incredibly busy.
I mean, you must be bursting with excitement for the years ahead and how you can make Blade better and better every year. Because, I mean, as much as you're thinking it takes time to put things into place and have the execution happen. At this point now, I'm sure, like many companies, you're having to deal with coronavirus, you're having to deal with staff labor issues or wage issues or supply chain even, maybe some of the products and things that go into the planes. So it feels like a near-term bump for many companies, but in the long term, you must be feeling just super excited about the prospects. By the way, I also wanted to know, the Blade boats that I saw at Sunset Beach, were those really Blade boats? Or are those imposters?
That's a partnership we have on the market.
They were excellent. They saved us. They saved us at Sunset Beach, I'm telling you.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I hope you'll come back on in the new year and give us some updates, because I'm sure you are swamped now during the holidays with everybody just trying to get onto Blade and get to all their beautiful places. Nice to see you. Congratulations on a great quarter.
Really great to see you too. Thanks so much for having me on.
All right, chat in the new year. Thank you. Will Heyburn, CFO of Blade Urban Air Mobility. Coming up next, the disruptors. The other names in the space, we were looking at PayPal and Square, which is now Block, right? We were looking at some of the other names, but really saying that Shift4 was in a good position for the new year. What is this about?
Yeah, I think this is about the way the software for Shift4 payment.
I was looking, as I was saying, you're noting and looking at the comparison to the peers, and that's what the article was all about the multiple expansion, about gaining market share, and the projections from the analysts and the earnings per share growth that they were seeing, and even going as far, the growth could be even better than expected. So there really is a lot of optimism on this one. So tell us about your trade. You have an example trade here, George.
Yeah, so
much. The disruptors, Shift4 Payments, FOUR is the ticker symbol. Thanks. Good to see you. Thank you so much. Coming up now is at CFRA Research. Thank you both for being with us. So we're taking a look here at Micron. And Angelo, I saw you're still optimistic on this name. It came out with the quarterly numbers. It's leading the NASDAQ. And there was two areas of growth that you were looking at, from the data centers to everything else that goes on, other end markets. Tell me a little bit about your projections going forward.
Yeah, no, so we did keep the buy recommendation. We increased the target price to $110.
And you talked about high margin of growth there, and that should help things along as well. Lee, what are you thinking about Micron? I want to do some of the comparisons to some of the other names, but start with Micron, Lee.
Right. Well, I agree with Angelo.
And I think that we're taking a look here, a close look at Micron, Angelo, but you talked about the fundamentals and some of the optimism that you're just seeing for supply, demand, and dynamics for 2022. Does that go for other names in the space, Angelo?
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. I mean, memory is clearly kind of a different beast.
Outperforms or buys on any of the other names? Sorry, I'm out of
Yep.
time.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Which ones?
So on the memory side, on the data center side of things, specifically Marvell, NVIDIA, AMD, as well as Broadcom would be our favorites.
Wow. Wow, good look there. And Lee Bull, your final thoughts here as Angelo's naming some of those names that he's still very positive on.
Yes, indeed. I would just point out one thing, though, in our 2000.
Nice to see you both. Angelo Zeno, CFRA Research. Always great to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us. And of course, Charles Schwab, Lee Bull. Thank you always. Good to see you both. Thank you. And thank you, friends, for joining us here. It's going to do it on Trading 360 for today, every single weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm Nicole Petallides. I will see you this afternoon of Xerofox. Welcome to the show. Glad you're here with us. So you're planning to move forward, go public with a SPAC. Foster, tell us more about the plan here. Why now?
Yeah, thanks, Nicole, and appreciate the time today. Well, I think, in short, why now?
And it'll work out. And how long will this all take?
Cool. That's a great question. Certain things are out of our control, right? I mean, when we
Over at the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker Xerofox, right? So tell me more about, at this point, you're in the right place, right? With cyber attacks, cybersecurity. What is it that we need to know and focus on? Because this is why you're in place here.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
They're likely to just speed up, right? Going forward?
Look, I think that's right. The FBI published a report earlier this year on 2020 stats that showed thousands of.
I think it's very interesting, too, how you have all different areas. It's not like you're focused on one area. You have media companies, technology, retail, energy as your customers. And in fact, when we look at the Fortune top 10, you have at least 5 of them under your umbrella working with you, and a lot of recurring revenue that will help the company going forward. The recurring revenue part of this, what's in place? Are these for 1 year, 1 month, 10 years? What is it that you're hoping for some of these customers in the recurring revenue? Because that's a big part, and that's great growth for you. That you're not just US based. You just said how many countries it was. And what is it that you provide for those countries and the growth possibilities for you abroad?
Cyber warfare, and attacks know no boundary. Everybody can be attacked. And this is different. This has evolved over the last couple.
Is this going to close in the first half of 2022? I mean, what's the likelihood of that?
I say my prayers every night. A lot of this is out of our control, but we are moving very quickly in our.
All right, and we'll talk more next year or two as you're shining there and ringing the bells at the New York Stock Exchange. We look forward to that. Nice to see you, Foster. Thank you so much. Great to chat with
Thanks,
you.
Nicole.
James
Have a
C.
great
Foster, founder, CEO of Xerofox. Thanks for joining us on the show. He's on, Vice President, Equity Analyst at CFRA. Thank you so much for being on with us today. So I know you have buy ratings on Lucid and Ford being the more traditional player. As you look at 2022, you're holding on to both of those buys, right? You're not changing any calls on those, right? Why?
That's correct. What we
So exciting. I mean, when you talk about Ford, and by the way, these are names that you've been talking about for some time here on the show as they continue to move higher. So you've been right on point with these calls. With Ford, I saw also that they are stopping to take orders at this point now because they've such a backlog of so many orders. Fantastic for the company, but they have to play a little bit of catch up there. And as far as Lucid, you just mentioned Car of the Year, which makes me think for 2022, Truck of the Year, Car of the Year, where do you think the features will be?
Yeah, so with Lucid, we think, since they received
Notoriously Ford's F-Series, and with the excitement and the orders that are backing up here for Ford, it's interesting that you brought up the Rivian story. Now, something that was in your notes is that Rivian will face some chip challenges because of the multiple types of production that they do. I think you were saying 3 different types, but you still have a higher price point for your price target.
That's right. So Rivian has the R1T, and then they're just
Entry point for Rivian. So this leaves me wondering, For all those Tesla folks that are now shaking in their shoes when you, a pro, come on and say, Lucid is just the better electric vehicle. And you just said it just like that. Elon Musk has been selling a lot of shares. You know, we went from 1,200 to less than 900. So are you implying that people maybe could take some Tesla gains and shares and sell some of those and buy Rivian or Lucid? Would you get out of Tesla?
Recommendation is a hold on Tesla right now. It's come back here pretty close to our price.
Thumbs up, thumbs down. Tesla smartphone, is that something real? All right, Garrett Nelson, CFRA, thank you. Always wonderful to chat with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Still ahead, we'll bring in our panel to discuss the retailers' last few days to get out. Manager at Macmillan Doolittle and Stacey Widlitz, founder, SW Retail Advisors. Thank you both for being with us. So Amanda, I'll start with you as we take a look here. You're talking about the Santa Claus rally and some of these names that could help us through as we have just a couple of days left till Christmas. Your thoughts on the big picture?
Sure. Thanks, Nicole. Just as coming into the
Widlitz, SW Retail Advisors. I know you were looking at some of these names and saying Target, Walmart, Best Buy. You know, you're watching those three. Are those names that you like?
I do, and I think, Nicole, something we learned very important
something you didn't even want. Stacey?
You absolutely are, Nicole. And what's really interesting is that, you know, Black Friday this year, there were
because people knew that there were supply chain issues. They started shopping in October. Maybe they were a little house crazy or Christmas crazy because they were locked up last year. But that was certainly one of the trends that we saw. What else will you watch going forward? We had this elongated shopping season and a consumer that was out there, right? And now what, Amanda, for going forward into 2022? Because the luxury retailers still have Chanel on 57th Street has a line every day. So you are seeing luxury retailers doing well also, Amanda?
right. It's
Yeah, absolutely. And final thought here, Stacey, as we take a look, I think people are going to do a lot of gift cards. That goes on the liability side of the balance sheet. That's something too. Quick thought?
Yeah, absolutely.
Happy holidays to you both. Thank you so much for being on with us. We really appreciate it. Amanda Lai of Macmillan Doolittle and Stacey Widlitz of SW Retail Advisors. Nice to see you both. Thank you.